Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Chatting with Wisdom. This is another special edition where we are speaking with our speakers. And so we have all of our presenters that have been coming through and sharing information about who they are so that we can have a little get to know you session. And so this morning we're going to be talking to Chloe. If you have not yet registered for the early bird, you want to definitely jump on that now. As of sometime tomorrow, the early bird will end. So you definitely want to make sure that you get on the early bird pricing, which is an amazing price. And then, but either way, even if you don't happen to catch it on the replay, on the early bird, we definitely want to be able to have you come and join us. So we're talking about the 7th annual Women Inspiring Women Conference. Power of Self-Love is what we're talking about. So good morning, Chloe. How are you?
I'm really good today. Yeah, I'm happy to be here with you.
You too. And so where are you from, Chloe?
I'm in the UK, which is a tiny little island compared to everybody over there in the States.
So is it actually an island? Is
yeah.
the UK actually? Okay, yeah. I did not know that.
You guys always say, yeah, I'd like to go to Europe one day. And it's so funny because we even got kicked out of Europe.
That's what happens when you don't pay attention in geography class, right?
That's right.
So I'm so excited to have you here. So tell me a little bit about who you are.
Okay. So my business name is Feral Grace. And really the body is my canvas. So I'm a love, sexuality and relationship coach. And I'm a dance movement psychotherapist, and I'm an ecstatic dance teacher. So I've used the body all my life to explore a lot of journeys. And later in life, mainly due to a large adult trauma event, I really realized how little education we have around pleasure and the body, and also how to conduct our relationships, and also how the way women walk through the world and what they carry, and also what relationships with their own bodies and their own worlds could be. So I'm here to close that gap, really, not just close the orgasm gap, but also close the gap of women being able to walk through their lives empowered and really celebrate themselves, and using pleasure as a resource to celebrate yourself on a daily or weekly basis. It's really up to you. Is a massive journey, but it's such a pleasurable one. We also think we have to, no pain, no gain. I would say no pleasure, no gain. So that's what I stand for.
Beautiful. I love that. And because when you put it in that context, it's just it's such a beautiful context of how to be able to take care of yourself. And so one of the things that first, let's start with talking about what is it that you're going to be talking about.
I'm going to be talking about the power of pleasure. So I journey deeply into my own pleasure, but first of all, a lot of that was digesting my own trauma, whether it was childhood trauma or adult trauma. And what I realized was you can use pleasure to heal yourself. Mm-hmm. You can use pleasure to find your voice in the world. You can use pleasure to feel good, balance your hormones. You can use pleasure to get inspired, to have great ideas, to connect with yourself, and then start to change your life according to those great ideas. So I will be talking about how we can do that inside of our own lives, but also how that will impact the way you walk through the world, and women particularly using that as a resource to take their leadership into whatever they want to take it into, negotiating their relationships, having more time on their own, perhaps making a career move, whatever it would be for you. You start to connect with your own pleasure, your own body, and those things will start to happen. And that will be what I'm talking about.
And that's really interesting, again, how you actually kind of fold that together, because when we were going through the application process and our committee was going through the list of which speakers were going to be live and so on and so forth, one of the things that was like really interesting was your topic. And so interesting in the sense that I thought for sure that it was like, oh, okay, people are going to kind of shy away from that. They're not going to want to necessarily do this live, have this conversation live, that they're going to want to have in the background. But yet all of the ladies jumped in on the conversation and said, no, Chloe needs to be one of our live speakers. And I'm like, okay. And one of the people who were on that panel, because I don't give any feedback in terms of what it is that I think, because we have a committee of women that have been doing this for a few years, and I let them choose, because I have difficulty trying to figure out, okay, who are going to get to speak, because everybody has something to offer. And so, and my philosophy is that whatever it is that somebody has to say or do is going to be exactly what it needs to be. So like, I allow things to flow the way that it needs to. But talking about any type of sexual conversations or anything like that, I tend to keep those very private. I don't have conversations and that kind of thing. And one of the people who are on that committee is my mom. And my mom was one of the ones who actually put her hand up and said, hey, no, we definitely need this one at
I love your mom. I love your mom.
And I'm like, oh, and like, it was like a, that in that solar plexus energy, it was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, like, oh my gosh. And so that whole part of my solar plexus went completely crazy, because it was like, oh no, we're going to like have to have these kind of conversations. And so yours and we have somebody else that's also talking about it as well. And so I need to be very present during that time frame, because it's an area that I feel very uncomfortable with. But you're making me feel very comfortable with this conversation, just based on the way that you've described it. And so it's not feeling as intimidating to me as it was when I was reading the presentation descriptions. And so because I have my own sexual trauma, and so like that is something that makes me feel uncomfortable around like having that, sharing that discussion. I've always been very open with my kids, and because I wanted them to be able to understand and make sure that they knew that everything was normal. But having an open conversation is something that's kind of like, oh, okay. Having a conversation in my living room with my kids is a little different than having a conversation with a group of women. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm sitting. But like I said, I'm feeling more comfortable based on the way that you've actually described the importance of all of it tying together.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being so transparent, because I think people do fall into these different categories. Like sometimes I even surprise myself, Rollie, and I'm like, you're really talking about orgasms to the general public. It's like, this is either like the career in heaven or hell, right? And even I get shy, but it's a taboo topic. And I will be talking about why I think sex or intimacy or pleasure is a taboo topic. And ultimately it's probably because there's something good there that results in something powerful.
Yes.
So when I first started to discuss this, I've had my fair share of trauma, and I can talk about that. But also I realized that compared to some women in the world, what they've been through is really not okay. And I take a stand for them recovering themselves back and deciding for themselves what they want. So yes, it's a very playful topic, but like you've illuminated here, it's a very potent topic. It's a vulnerable topic. And I've spent years studying trauma and the body. So I do hold it heavy and light all at the same time. And it's a shame-free zone, because I think there's sort of, weird kind of intimacy competition or anything, but you get a group of women together, and on the whole, we are really generous with each other. We really want each other to do well. And for people, I get to have so many conversations that people say, I can't talk to anybody but you about this. Well, that's why my job exists, because if you talk about something, usually it creates safety for you, safety for the topic, safety for you to negotiate what you want for yourself or what you want to say yes or no to. So I really stand for safety, even though this is a wild topic.
And it really is. And like, I know that there's going to be other women who are in that same space as me. And so for anybody who's listening to this particular interview, like, come and join me and just kind of sit in that energy. And I will share that again during the conference as I'm introducing you, because I believe that you're the first of the two topics of the two speakers that are actually talking about it. And so it's just really important. And one of the things that I really truly live by is to be authentic. And so showing up as I am is something that is extremely important. And when I need to do anything, like, you're going to see my true self. Like, at no point am I going to pretend that I'm like, oh, I'm super okay with this conversation and that kind of thing. Is I am going to be able to express that as best to my ability, because there are some times when we struggle with our expression. However, being able to be transparent. So if you are listening to this or you're looking at the guide and program guide and you're like, oh my gosh, this is what they're going to talk about, like, just be gentle with yourself and just show up. And one of the things that I tell people all the time is take what you need and leave the rest. There's going to be some things that you're going to, but come with an open mind, right? So you need to come with an open mind, because if you don't come with an open mind, then you're going to shut down and you're not going to get anything out of any conversation, because you're going to be in that stage. So I really love that you have been able to explore that. And one of the things that you were talking about as well, that in terms of your background and using the body, is using movement to be able to kind of get into that that space. And so and that's one of the things that for women, we have that ability of being able to, like, really tap into our sacral chakra. And so that is where all these kinds of things and bringing up those emotions. So what you're saying and what you've shared really ties in and makes sense. Right. So I've never looked at it from that experience. And not that I don't enjoy pleasure or anything like that, but just being able to be open and talking about it and figuring out how to be able to, like, use that to your advantage of really carrying that power. From our traditions and culture, one of the things that we talk about is how powerful women are. And so a teaching that I had from a grandfather, from an elder, one of the things that he said is that women in our culture they're, like, held to a very high standard because they have the ability to give life. So life comes from whatever higher spirit that you're coming from, but women actually have that ability, like, they're, like, right in line with being able to bring someone into the world. Right. So it's powerful.
It's very powerful. And because we are that gateway, ultimately we know a lot about birth and we know a lot about death. And so therefore, we are inherently powerful. And I think that's why also sometimes we don't challenge status quo, because we have a deep knowledge of our own power that maybe we don't even need to prove it. But it's funny that we don't talk about sexuality or sex enough, given that no one would be here without that loving act.
Absolutely. And it's so important.
It's so important. So I came down to take some taboo out of the topic.
And that's awesome. And I'm really looking forward to being able to share these conversations with everyone. And like I said, there's going to be some topics that other people are going to feel more uncomfortable than this for some people. And it's just really important for us to be able to just really be mindful of and being open. Right. So just be open and in this energy. And so is there anything else, Chloe, that you think is important for everyone to know before we head out?
That I'm going to be opening up at the end of what I talk about. So there's going to be a question time where we can share as a group, or you can ask me questions and I will answer them. And I really am committed to making this a safe topic, and really making trauma-informed choices about what we talk about. So I'm going to be careful with you, and as I am with all my clients and the groups that I hold. So we'll be there, and we are allowed to laugh. It is funny. Being human is a funny old thing.
It really is. And so for anybody who is, again, feeling uncomfortable, we're going to have an opportunity for you to be able to send messages privately as well. Like, so if you're not wanting to openly share, we will have it set up so that you can actually send it to, and we'll give instructions at the time as to who you can share the messages with, and no one else is going to know who's asking those questions. So again, wanting to make sure that all the women feel as comfortable as possible without having to feel, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this?
Yeah.
Right. So I just want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable and safe. And yeah, so really looking forward to this, and I can't wait. And we're getting so close. We're getting so close.
We really are. It's great.
16 days, 16 days, and we're at it. So I'm down to the daily countdown at this point. And so still lots of things behind the scenes that we're working on. And if you have not yet registered, I have been working on the booklet. So like, that's what I was telling Chloe, is that I'm doing the final parts to our workbook. And so we need to make sure that this is ready to go by the end of today so that we can get those shipped out to people. So I'm super excited. So glad that you're here, and can't wait to get to know you more.
It's going to be so good. I'm so looking forward to it, Rollie, and thanks for having me in today for this.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, everybody, and we will talk soon. Bye for now.